At 13 News Now at 6 begins with breaking news in the Donovon Lynch case. A special grand jury says the officer who shot Lynch to death was justified.
The Virginia Beach Commonwealth's attorney says Officer Solomon Simmons will not face charges. Lynch died in a chaotic night at the Virginia Beach Oceanfront 8 months ago. There is no video of the actual shooting, and for months, Lynch's family and the community have demanded answers about what happened. Today, the Commonwealth's attorney's office laid out much of the evidence they've examined. Investigative reporter Evan Watson was there.
A special grand jury finds that based on video evidence and witness testimony, Officer Simmons perceived a threat to himself and others before shooting and killing Donovon Lynch, leading to this justified ruling. Virginia Beach police officers heard 3 shots.
Where's that? Where was it? Where was it? Where?
And then ran to a street corner near the Virginia Beach Oceanfront where Officer Solomon Simmons shot Donovon Lynch.
I shot him.
Simmons did not have his body camera activated for the shooting, so investigators relied on his testimony and witness statements. Officer Simmons told investigators that Lynch was turned away from him, crouched with a gun in his hand, facing a parking lot where 50 shots had been fired minutes earlier. Simmons said he heard Lynch rack his gun, shouted something at Lynch, and Lynch started to rise up and turn toward him. That's when Simmons fired 3 shots, hitting Lynch twice, once in the left shoulder and left leg. Investigators say Simmons never said that Lynch pointed a gun directly at him. Videos show officers trying to save Donovon Lynch's life right after the shooting and moving Lynch to a different area about 6 minutes later for medical attention. Commonwealth's attorney Colin Stolley says he needed a special grand jury to investigate this case after key witnesses refused to talk to Virginia State Police.
We needed to hear what these individuals had to say. The only way for that to have happened was through the impaneling of a special grand jury and allowing the special grand jury to issue subpoenas for them to come in and give their testimony.
Investigators say a gun, legally carried by Donovon Lynch, was found a few feet from his body with a bullet in the chamber. No shots were fired from Lynch's gun. In Virginia Beach, Evan Watson reporting for 13 News Now.
Officer Simmons released his own statement tonight. He says he's gratified that the special grand jury found his actions to be justified. He says the past 8 months have been trying for him and his family, and he's sure they have been for Lynch's family too. Simmons went on to say he was in an incredibly chaotic situation that required him to make a difficult split-second decision. He says his heart goes out to the Lynch family.
Donovon Lynch's father, Wayne Lynch, met with authorities before today's news conference. He, of course, is disappointed with the news and was hoping the officer would be charged. Telling 13 News Now, the family is disappointed, but we are processing the news and will make an official statement by tomorrow. Police addressed what happened that night, including statements by the friend who was with Donovon. Darian Marsh has insisted that he never saw Donovon take out his gun. Here's what he told 13 News Now.
Did you see him take out his gun?
I didn't see any of that. That didn't happen.
Was he brandishing the gun?
Wasn't brandishing a firearm, no ma'am.
Marsh says the last thing he heard was Donovon say, "D, I'm shot." The officer says he heard the slide of a handgun as if a bullet was being placed into the chamber, and he saw Donovon with the gun, but there's no evidence that the gun was ever fired. The family says Donovon could have been trying to protect himself from the chaos that was going on that night and that he never would have pulled a gun on an officer. Now, last week, 13 News Now examined the life of Lynch in our documentary, Donovon. I spoke to the people who knew Donovon and looked into who Donovon was and how he lived. And you can watch the full half-hour special on our YouTube page and count on us to keep following this case.